There comes a point in life when the world around you seems to speed up while you're just trying to catch your breath. You look in the mirror and wonder, how did time move so fast? The kids are grown. The house is quieter. You've spent your life working, giving, loving, and now, in this chapter, you're told to slow down, to sit back and enjoy the rest. But something inside you says, there's more. Not more years necessarily, but more life in the years you have left. This video isn't about reminding you of what you've lost. It's here to help you remember what's still possible. Because even after 60, 70, or 80, you are not done. You still have power, purpose, and the ability to reshape your life in small, meaningful ways. Whether it's your health, your mindset, your daily habits, or your emotional well-being, change is possible. And it starts with one thought. You are not too old. You are just getting started in a different way. Let's talk honestly. Aging can be tough. There are aches where there weren't any before. People stop asking for your opinion as often. Sometimes you might feel invisible, like the world is only built for the young. But the truth is, your wisdom is your greatest strength. You've already walked through storms and come out standing. You've already faced change, loss, and love, and you've survived it all. Now is the time to start living not just by age, but by intention. So here's something to think about. When was the last time you woke up excited for the day ahead? Not because of an event or a vacation, but simply because you knew you were about to take a step toward a better version of yourself. You see, most people believe life slows down after a certain age, but in reality, it just shifts. And if you don't adapt to that shift with awareness and grace, you start to drift. Not because you're old, but because no one taught you how to thrive in this new season. That's what this video is here to do. It's not a lecture. It's a conversation, a nudge, a friendly reminder that you still matter, and your life can still feel rich, full, and deeply fulfilling. Let's begin by talking about one of the most powerful shifts you can make right now, the way you treat your morning. You see, the way you begin your day is the foundation for how the rest of it unfolds. But many people over 60 unknowingly start their mornings in ways that drain their energy rather than renew it. Maybe you're waking up and reaching straight for your phone or turning on the news, instantly feeding your mind with worry, fear, or stress. Or maybe you're skipping breakfast, moving slowly, or avoiding movement altogether because of pain or stiffness. But what if your morning was a time of reconnection? A sacred space where you listen not to the noise of the world, but to the quiet wisdom inside yourself. Imagine this. You wake up, sit up slowly, and take 3 deep breaths. Not to fix anything, but just to arrive in your body. You drink a glass of water, stretch gently, and whisper a thought of gratitude. Something simple, like, I am still here, or today is mine. These small changes can ripple through your whole day. Because here's the truth. Your body might be older, but it's still listening. And how you speak to it, through habits, movement, and mindset, affects how it responds to you. Give it love, and it moves with more ease. Give it doubt, and it stiffens. The choice is still yours. And speaking of choices, let's talk about movement. Not exercise in the strict gym sense, but simple, intentional movement that keeps your joints alive and your spirit awake. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. You just need to move on purpose. A short walk in the morning sunlight. A few stretches while the kettle boils. Gentle arm circles to loosen your shoulders. These little rituals may not seem like much, but over time they protect your balance, improve your sleep, and sharpen your mind. You may not control the number of years ahead, but you do control the quality of those years. And the good news is, you don't need to change your whole life overnight. Just one small shift at a time. One mindful breath in the morning, one act of kindness toward yourself, one gentle stretch when you rise. These things aren't flashy, but they are powerful. Let me share something else that might sound simple, but it's one of the greatest truths in aging well. Your mindset is your medicine. If you wake up every day expecting decline, you will feel it. If you believe you're past your prime, your body will follow that belief. But if you begin to say to yourself, I am still growing, your spirit will start to lift. You see, most people stop growing because they stop believing there's more to grow into. But even now, yes, even now, there are new ideas waiting to be discovered, books to be read, stories to be told, and wisdom that only you can share. Don't underestimate the power of your own experience. The things you've lived through, the lessons you've learned, they are a treasure chest the younger world desperately needs. Your age is not a weight, it's a crown, but only if you wear it with pride, with presence, and with purpose. So let's take the first step. Let this morning be the one where you reclaim your rhythm. Sit with yourself, listen to your breath, stretch your arms, and say to yourself, today, I choose to live with intention. I choose to move with purpose. I choose to honor this stage of life, not fear it, because there is no better time than now, and there is no better person than you to show the world that growing older isn't about fading out. It's about lighting up from within. You've made it this far, and that says something powerful. You're not here by accident. You're here because something inside you still wants to grow, to learn, to become more, not in spite of your age, but because of it. There's a kind of wisdom that only comes from time, and it's time to stop treating that wisdom like it's invisible. Because you have something the world desperately needs: perspective. But here's the problem most elders face. It's not the body that slows down first. It's the belief. The belief that you're no longer needed, no longer important, no longer able to create something new. That belief is the real thief. Not time, not aging, not even illness. The real danger is believing your best days are behind you, but they're not. They're still alive, in moments you haven't yet experienced, in conversations you haven't yet had, in passions you haven't yet rediscovered. You see, you're not here just to pass time. You're here to live time, to live it richly, deeply, and intentionally. And one of the most overlooked parts of that process is how you talk to yourself. Think about it. When was the last time you said something encouraging to yourself out loud? Something like, I'm proud of how far I've come, or I'm allowed to start fresh, even now. Most of us over 60 grew up in a world that praised humility, silence, and toughness. But sometimes that toughness turns inward, and we start being hard on ourselves for things that simply aren't our fault. So here's something small, but life-changing. Kindness toward yourself. Real kindness. Not just positive thinking, but the kind of kindness that lets you rest when you're tired without guilt. The kind that lets you set boundaries. The kind that lets you walk away from people who no longer bring peace into your life, even if they've been there for years. Because this stage of life isn't about collecting more, it's about protecting what matters: peace, health, joy, meaning. And if something in your daily life is draining those things, you have every right to let it go. Whether it's a habit, a memory, or a toxic relationship, it's never too late to walk a different path. You don't owe anyone your energy just because you've known them for decades. What you do owe yourself is a life that feels good on the inside, even if it doesn't look the same as it used to on the outside. And one of the most powerful ways to step into that kind of life is by reconnecting with your purpose. Now, I know purpose is a big word. It gets thrown around a lot, but it doesn't have to be some grand mission or world-changing plan. Sometimes purpose is as simple as asking, what makes me feel alive today? What makes me feel like I matter? Maybe it's tending to a small garden. Maybe it's calling a friend who needs to hear your voice. Maybe it's writing down your life stories for your grandchildren. Or maybe, just maybe, it's sitting quietly in the sun and remembering who you are beneath all the noise. You don't need a title to be valuable. You don't need a job to be impactful. And you certainly don't need youth to be radiant. You just need to show up present, honest, and willing to grow in whatever way this season of life is asking you to. And here's the beauty of this season. It invites reflection, but not the kind of reflection that keeps you stuck in the past. The kind that asks, what have I learned and how can I use it now? You've already lived through heartbreak, loss, and change. That alone makes you wiser than half the people giving advice in this world. And yet, I know some days you still feel unsure, maybe even forgotten. But let me say this clearly. You are not forgotten. You are not past your prime. You are the living proof of resilience. And the next step? It's not to rewind the clock. It's to make peace with the present and build something beautiful with what's in your hands right now. Because here's the truth. The older you get, the more your time becomes sacred. So spend it wisely. Spend it on things that bring you joy, that calm your heart, that stretch your mind. Read books that open your spirit. Eat food that nourishes, not just your body, but your memories. Move your limbs not out of punishment, but out of gratitude that they still carry you. And most importantly, surround yourself with people who see your light, not just your age. People who listen when you speak, who value your experience, who treat your time like it's precious, because it is. Let me remind you of something you might have forgotten. It's not too late to change your life. One conversation, one walk, one shift in your mindset can lead you down a new path. You just have to take the first step. And it starts with believing that something better still waits for you, not out there in the world, but right here, inside you. You don't have to settle for, this is just how it is. That's not truth. It's conditioning. You've been trained to accept decline as inevitable, but the body responds to care. The mind responds to challenge. And the soul? The soul responds to truth. And the truth is, you are still needed, still capable, still full of wisdom this world desperately needs. So today, give yourself permission to begin again, not because you have to, but because you can, and because this life, this one precious life, isn't over until your spirit says it is. And yours is still burning strong. You're still here, and that alone makes you unstoppable in ways most people will never understand. Because when you've lived through enough seasons, through loss, joy, failure, forgiveness, something changes inside you. You don't just survive anymore. You begin to see the difference between what matters and what never really did. And yet, many elders walk around feeling unseen, as if the world has turned the page and left them behind in a chapter long forgotten. But the world's rush isn't your rhythm anymore. You've earned the right to slow down, not because you're fading, but because you finally understand the value of presence. Let me tell you something important. Presence is your superpower. In a world addicted to noise, your ability to sit still, to reflect, to see clearly, it's a kind of quiet strength that younger generations haven't fully learned yet. They're still chasing. You, on the other hand, are learning how to be. And that's no small thing. But even in this season of life, there's one challenge that never seems to go away: loneliness. It creeps in slowly, not because you're truly alone, but because the world stops checking in as often. The calls become fewer, the visits grow shorter, and suddenly, silence becomes a companion. Let me be honest here. You deserve connection. You deserve to be listened to, celebrated, and invited. Not just remembered out of obligation, but truly cherished. But sometimes the world forgets how much light you still carry. And in those moments, you have to do something radical. You have to remind yourself. You have to wake up and look in the mirror, not to see the wrinkles or the gray hair, but to see the soul that survived every storm. You have to whisper to yourself, I am still here. I am still worthy. I am still becoming. And once you do, something subtle begins to shift. You start showing up differently. You start walking into rooms with calm authority. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You let your laughter be loud, your thoughts be heard, and your silence be sacred. That's the kind of transformation no external approval can offer. It can only come from within. But there's another truth we need to talk about. The body. It's aging. And some days, it feels like it's fighting against you. But you are not your body alone. Your identity is not defined by the speed of your steps or the sharpness of your eyesight. Yes, the body changes, but the spirit, when fed well, doesn't age, it deepens. So take care of this vessel, not to chase youth, but to preserve the freedom to live well. Eat food that energizes you. Drink water not just when you're thirsty, but because your cells are calling for it. Move not to punish yourself for aging, but to honor the miracle that is movement itself. And when you feel that pain, that ache in your back, or that stiffness in your knees, don't see it as failure. See it as a message, a reminder that your body, even in discomfort, is doing its best to carry you forward. All it needs is your patience, your attention, and your love. There's one more thing I need to tell you, and this may be the hardest truth of all. Sometimes the people you thought would stay forever don't. Sometimes your closest friends drift away. Sometimes your own children are busy with lives of their own, and the quiet moments feel unbearable. But loneliness does not define you. Loss does not finish your story. What finishes your story is how you choose to rise after the silence. And you can rise, even if you do it slowly, even if no one's watching, even if you're not sure what comes next. Because rising is not a performance, it's a choice. And the beauty of this age, the hidden gift, is that you no longer need to prove anything. You can stop competing, stop comparing, stop pretending. You can just be, fully, freely, and unapologetically yourself. You can spend your time creating, not consuming. You can walk barefoot on the earth and remember what it feels like to belong. You can pick up a hobby you abandoned decades ago and fall in love with it all over again. You can write the story of your life, not the one others expect, but the one that's been whispering to you all along. Because that's what this stage of life is asking from you. Not perfection, not performance, but truth. A quiet, steady return to what really matters. Let yourself feel joy without guilt. Let yourself rest without shame. Let yourself hope, not because everything is perfect, but because hope is how you breathe life back into tired places. And if no one else tells you this today, let me. You are enough. Not just because of what you've done, but because of who you are when the world is quiet and you're left alone with your thoughts. You are not broken. You are beautifully unfinished. This isn't the end. This is the deep middle, the sacred space where the noise fades and the real you begins to emerge. And what a beautiful thing it is, to be unfinished, to still be writing your story with hands that have held both joy and sorrow. You see, the greatest lie aging tries to tell you is that your story is complete, that all the good has already happened. But the truth is, the most meaningful chapters are often written in the quiet, in the stillness, in the depth that only time can teach. You don't need the world to applaud for your life to matter. You don't need a grand finale. You just need one moment of truth, one breath of gratitude, one act of courage to shift everything. And maybe today, that courage means finally letting go of things you've been carrying for too long. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for decisions you made when you didn't know any better. Maybe it's releasing guilt over relationships that didn't turn out the way you hoped. Or maybe it's simply deciding to love the person you've become. Because loving yourself now, at this age, with everything you've seen and felt, that's not vanity. That's healing. That's wisdom. And if no one ever told you this, let me tell you now. You are allowed to let go of the past without losing its meaning. You are allowed to move forward, even if your steps are slow and unsure. Too many elders spend their days in mental loops of regret, replaying words they wish they'd said differently, relationships they wish they could fix. But the past is not a prison. It's a place you visited. What you take from it is up to you. Will it be shame, or will it be wisdom? Will it be sorrow, or will it be strength? There is so much freedom in realizing you don't need to fix every broken thing. You just need to be at peace with where you are and what you've learned along the way. You don't need to finish every conversation. You don't need to make everyone understand your heart. You just need to understand it yourself. That's enough. And from that understanding, something beautiful can grow. Renewal. Not of your youth, but of your spirit. Because renewal isn't about going backward. It's about planting something new in the soil of everything you've lived through. It's about finding meaning not in what's gone, but in what still remains. Maybe you still have a song left in you, a story to write, a lesson to teach, a legacy to leave. Maybe your hands aren't as steady, but your heart has never been stronger. Maybe your eyes don't see quite the same, but your soul has never seen more clearly. So what if you decided, today, to live like someone who still matters? What if you treated every sunrise as a gift, not a countdown? What if you stopped waiting for the perfect moment to enjoy life, and chose to enjoy it now, as it is? You don't need a reason to smile. You don't need permission to rest. You don't need someone else to light your path. You've already got the spark. It's in the way you comfort others without needing words. It's in the way you've learned to sit in silence without needing distraction. It's in the way you've loved, lost, and still opened your heart again. There's a kind of depth that only comes with age. A knowing, a softness, a strength that doesn't raise its voice, but you feel it the moment it enters a room. That's the kind of elder the world needs more of. Not one who shrinks, but one who stands steady. Not loud, just sure. And I want you to know, you don't have to become anyone else. You don't have to compete with the noise or try to keep up with a world that never stops. You only need to become more of who you already are. More patient, more wise, more at peace. Maybe you'll wake up tomorrow and decide to take a walk, not to burn calories, but to feel the wind on your face. Maybe you'll call someone you've been thinking about, not because you should, but because connection still heals. Maybe you'll sit with a journal and write your thoughts, not to impress anyone, but to honor the voice inside that still has something to say. And maybe, just maybe, you'll remember that the most powerful thing you can do at this stage of life is to live fully. Not loudly, not fast, just fully. Because every breath you take is a moment of becoming. Every sunrise is an invitation to be present. Every heartbeat is a reminder that you are still here. And being here, truly being here, is the most sacred act of all. And maybe that's the most important thing anyone's ever told you. You are still here, and not by mistake, not as an afterthought. You are here because life is not finished with you yet. There's still something you are meant to feel, to say, to offer. It doesn't need to be grand. Sometimes the smallest ripple is the one that moves the deepest waters. You may have once defined your value by what you did, your job, your responsibilities, your family roles. But now, in this stage of life, your value has nothing to do with what you do, and everything to do with who you are. Your presence, your story, your steady heartbeat in a world that keeps rushing past meaning. Do you know how rare that is? To be someone who has lived enough to know what really matters. That is your gift. That is your legacy. And you don't have to chase it. It already lives in you, in your hands that have held generations, in your words that carry decades of truth, in your silence that speaks louder than noise. Some days the world may not recognize the depth you carry, but you must. You must look in the mirror and see not what is fading, but what is growing. Gentleness, clarity, perspective, grace. These are not signs of decline. These are signs of becoming. You're not becoming old, you're becoming whole. And that wholeness, it allows you to love differently now. Not with urgency or fear, but with depth. You've loved people enough to know that love isn't about control. It's about presence. It's about showing up. And even if they don't always show up for you, you've learned to stay steady in your own heart. You've seen enough to know that people leave. Life changes. But your ability to remain soft in a hard world, that's rare. That's courage. That's elder wisdom. And maybe now you're starting to feel it. That gentle stirring in your chest. That quiet realization that life is still offering you something. It's offering you now. And with that now, you get to choose how you show up. Maybe you want to simplify, to remove the noise, the clutter, the unnecessary busyness. Maybe you want to reconnect with nature, watch the sky change color, plant something in the ground and watch it grow. Or maybe you want to learn, yes, even now, to study something new, to read something that wakes your mind up again. Let no one tell you it's too late to learn. The mind is like the body. It stays young through curiosity, not age. Pick up that book you've been meaning to read. Listen to music you've never heard before. Ask questions. Follow wonder. Because wonder is not just for the young. It is for the alive. And you, my friend, are still very much alive. And what about connection? Maybe your circle has grown smaller. That's okay. Quality always matters more than quantity. Find people who see you, not just your face, but your soul. People who listen when you speak and don't try to fix you, but simply sit with you in truth. If you can't find those people, become that person. Lead with warmth, with kindness, with presence, and you'll attract the kind of people who reflect that light back to you. And if on some days you feel alone, remember this. Being alone does not mean being empty. Solitude can be sacred. It gives you space to listen to yourself, to tend to the garden of your own heart, to notice the beauty that surrounds you without needing to explain it to anyone else. It is in those quiet moments that you remember you are enough. Not when you were younger, not if you change, not if others approve, just as you are right now. So take a breath. Let go of the weight that isn't yours to carry, and hold on to what truly matters. Peace, joy, simplicity, meaning. Let yourself be guided not by the calendar, but by your spirit. Let your days be shaped not by routine, but by purpose. Let your story continue, not with noise, but with depth. You are not waiting to live, you're living, right here, right now. So ask yourself, what do I want these next years to feel like? What kind of mornings do I want to wake up to? What kind of words do I want to leave behind? What kind of love do I still want to give? Because the truth is, no matter your age, the most beautiful parts of you are still unfolding. And isn't that something worth celebrating? That even now, after everything, your story is still unfolding. The chapters ahead may be softer, quieter, slower, but they can also be richer, wiser, and more meaningful than anything that came before. Because now, you get to choose with intention. You're no longer driven by survival or by pleasing others, or by the urgency of proving yourself. You've already earned your place. Now, life becomes about refining, about deciding what really matters, and letting go of what doesn't. You get to simplify, to fill your days with light instead of noise, to say no without guilt, to say yes without explanation. You get to rest when you're tired, not because you're giving up, but because you finally learned the beauty of listening to your body. And through all of this, you become something even more powerful than you were in youth. You become someone who walks with wisdom, someone who knows that life isn't about more, it's about meaning. Someone who no longer races to the finish line, but finds joy in every quiet step. Maybe you've never heard this said to you in a way that felt true. So let me say it plainly, gently, and with everything I've got. You are not a burden. You are not in the way. You are not past your purpose. You are a living library of experience, a breathing collection of lessons, a lighthouse for those who are still learning how to find their way. You may not always feel seen, but you are needed. Your presence holds space. Your silence teaches patience. Your survival tells a story of resilience that no book could ever fully explain. And if your heart has ever whispered, "Is this all there is?" let me tell you, no, it isn't. There is still laughter waiting in unexpected places. There are sunrises you haven't watched, people you haven't met, books you haven't read, and simple joys you haven't felt. There is still life inside you, and not just to be endured, but to be lived. You may never run a marathon, but you can still walk with wonder. You may not lift heavy things, but you can still carry others with your words. You may not solve the world's problems, but you can still heal someone's day with your presence. That's the power of being fully alive, even now, especially now. So choose peace, even when it's quiet. Choose simplicity, even when the world demands more. Choose love, even when it doesn't come back the same way. And most of all, choose yourself. Not the version others expect, but the one you've grown into, the one with scars and wisdom, gentleness and strength, laughter and longing. You are enough, exactly as you are. And if you've listened this far, if your heart is still open, still beating, still reaching, then I want you to promise something, not to me, to yourself. Promise that you won't spend these years hiding or apologizing or shrinking. Promise you'll walk forward, maybe slowly, maybe quietly, but always with purpose. Promise you'll look for beauty even in ordinary days. Promise you'll let go of what weighs you down and reach for what lifts you up. Because this life is not over, it's only deepening. And in these deeper years, you get to be the elder you always needed. For your family, for your community, for yourself. So take a deep breath. Lift your head and feel this moment settle into your bones. You're still here. You're still becoming. And your life? It still matters. Every day you wake up is proof that there is more to be lived, more to be loved, and more to be discovered. So don't wait. Don't hold back. This isn't just the next chapter. This is the beginning of your best one yet.